And I also remember Jake. I didn't just say that out of nowhere. I got Jeff over in Twitch chat asking me. So, in case you're wondering, because you can't see him typing. So, he was asking me if I was planning on playing it. You know, okay. Because initially you were like, why are you talking about this? It's like, I'm responding to someone else. Didn't anyone try to resurrect Arthur as a whole then?
I tried. And I found his humanity. It's here, bound, kept safe. But the Four Dwellers aspects was left to drift, untethered between worlds. Finding it needed more than magic. It needed someone like you.
Me?
The horrors you endured on that island gave you something no one else has. You can move through the weirdness, touch it, and return whole. That's why you found the King's soul, bound it to yourself, and came back.
So I'm just another experiment to you, like the ones on that island?
No. The asylum treated you as a subject. I see you as a savior. Your suffering gave us a chance. And for that, I am both grateful and deeply sorry.
Alright, take it easy, Jeff Afa.
I see you're still doubting me.
What's your endgame?
I want to bring back our king, whole and complete. I want him to lead again and safeguard Avalon's future.
Why do you want this so much?
Because I've seen what happens without him. Weirdness preys on the weak, and the people are too divided to stand against it alone. Arthur is their only hope. Ever they're left without him, without guidance, chaos takes hold. Division festers. You've seen it during your journeys. If things continue,
That was like close to the same line.
It will tear itself apart long before weirdness finishes the job.
Even if he's whole, what if the people won't follow?
They will follow him. That's what people do. When weirdness comes to their doorstep, they'll beg for a savior. And Arthur will answer the call. Help me bring the king back. Now you need... I made my case. This is the only...
Okay, so now all of a sudden am I making a decision on whether to let Arthur live or die? Okay, well, this is... Oh my... Am I gonna have to go through like a million of these conversations where they're like, hey, this is what... Oh, Caradoc.
I was there when it all began. When Arthur first set foot on Avalon. I was a knight in his army. We believed in him, in his dream, in his kingdom.
I think the game's just gonna lore dump here at the very... Or like exposition dump at the very, very end.
Every sacrifice justified by the dream we shared. But then came the cost. The war crimes, the impossible decisions, the massacres, slaughters, and irrational cruelty. We turned from knights into butchers, all because his dream demanded it of us. At first I told myself it was necessary, that it was the price of building something great. But the longer it went on, the harder it was to believe. That's when I realized Arthur wasn't a god, a savior, or a king. He was just another man, no different from the rest of us. And no man should have the power to demand such sacrifices.
And you want to kill him once and for all. I've heard that before.
But do you understand why I want it so much?
I mean, you did literally just say he's just another man. Yeah, because you hate what you've become.
I'd like to believe that after 600 years I've moved past pettiness. You need to understand that people thought, and still think, that he was more than human. But he wasn't. He made mistakes, just like any man. And the cost of those mistakes was always paid for by others. I've seen what happens when people cling to kings and myths. They wait, they follow, they waste their lives on promises that never meant anything. But that's not my problem. I'm not here to fix Avalon or to free anyone.
Yeah, you're just here because you got a little bit of a grudge against him.
Doesn't matter. Let it all burn. Let it rot. Let it rebuild. I won't be here to see it.
Even if you destroy Arthur, the Round Table can just crown someone new, replace him.
Arthur's the only myth that still holds weight. And when he's gone, the rest will rot with him. A puppet king, another empty throne, none of it will last. Maybe they'll keep pretending for a while. Maybe they won't.
And what if your way leads directly to the people's fallen demise?
Then let it. If this world can't stand without a dead king propping it up, maybe it deserves to fall.
You think people can stand on their own against the weirdness, the monsters?
Let them stand, let them fall. It's not
Okay, he just says the same thing 4 times. You want to throw away Avalon's hope just like that?
Arthur isn't Avalon's hope. He's its curse. He's the chain that keeps it bound to the past, dragging it down no matter how far it tries to climb. We were fools to tamper with forces we didn't understand. Resurrecting Arthur, infusing him with powers of the weirdness. We didn't just bend the natural laws, we shattered them. Such violations of nature's order cannot go unanswered. The bill comes due, sooner or later. Always. This cannot be allowed to continue. Listen, it's taken longer than I ever imagined, but now, here we are. You've done what no one else could, what even I couldn't do. You've brought Arthur's soul back together, almost complete, but not quite. And because of you, I can finally finish what I started centuries ago. So, thank you for bringing us to this moment. You're close now. Just one more step. The last fragment of Arthur's soul is waiting for you. Complete what you came here for. And then, we'll meet again. Go.
Oh, I'll stab you in the head. I'll straight stab you in the head. You pop up once every 20 hours to be the villain of the game, and then you want me to side with you? Get the frick out of here, dude. You're just a little man with a big grudge. And I'm gonna make you several inches shorter. If I cut off his head, of course. God, who is this? Is this gonna be like Hob? What the frick? Wait, what? There's just some random dude here that I need to... Wait, what? I'm so confused. Okay, am I missing something? I don't know what is happening. Why did I have to just smack that guy? Like, he was fishing, he tried to punch me, I slashed him and he died.
Help me bring the king. Now you need... I made my case. This is the...
Go on.
Like, am I supposed to know who this is? Is this just Arthur? Like... So I assume this is the Holy Grail.
You carried a dying king across the bones of a dying world.
Like, I don't know who I'm slapping.
Now you stand
Like-
before what started it all. An idea. I am the reason there must be an ending. I do not guide. I do not judge. I exist so that something can be chosen. I do not offer meaning. I require that one be made. You have brought all things to their conclusion. Now, decide what must remain. Choose, and let the shape of the world follow.
Oh, we're going full on destruction here. Oh, what if I take the king's soul for myself?
You will be seen. You will be followed. You will be blamed.
Give me the power.
You will vanish into the story you chose to restore.
Nope.
You will break the frame, and what follows will not remember you.
Nope.
You will shape the world to become its witness.
Nope. I'm gonna take it for myself.
Then the idea shall be clear.
I'm Frodo. The ring is mine.
But first, you have to bring silence to what refuses to be forgotten.
If this is what you want, then take it, my friend. But promise me you will learn from my mistakes.
So is this Arthur? I'm so confused by this. Or is this someone that we met like back in Act 1? I get that his name is Hob, but like who is Hob?
No, I won't let this happen. Not again.
I just have no idea who Hob is. Oh no, he's dealing me damage. Oh, this is the other thing that I've noticed. Why am I getting light armor levels? I have medium armor on. Oh no, it'd be a shame if you hit me one more time. Get wrecked, idiot. Okay, so. That was cute. Oh, you got some stuff on you. Is that a reasonable sword? Wow, your gear sucks. Complete the ritual.
You think any other human could wield this power?
Yeah, you're just a dude in armor.
Endured 600 years of pain, of suffering, of loneliness.
Wah wah, give me your power.
The sacrifices me.
Yeah, and you sucked at it. Look what became of your kingdom.
You can take it from me.
Oh, dude, let me fight Arthur. That would be kind of cool. Let me fight Arthur. Hell yeah.
Forge Avalon. Perfect.
Come on. Bring out the Shield of Palamedes. Bring out Excalibur. We know you got him. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna summon broskies? That's just gonna help me get my lament going. Where'd you go? Fight was so intense, the game crashed. You go the whole time without crashing, and then you decide to crash in the fight against Arthur. God dang it, man. Well, let's see where it made a little save. Seriously? This is where you decide to quick save? All right. Well, luckily Caradoc is a little bitch. Take the soul for myself. All right, hit me a time or two. Nice. That was cute. That was cute. You tried your best. He tried. That's what counts. All right, shut up, Arthur. Come fight me again. That's right. Let me build up my lament. Dude, I'm just too good.
You took Arthur's power for yourself.
I'm just too good.
Whatever drove you, need, ambition, or will alone.
He stood no chance. I hit him once and I went all the way back to full health.
Command. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe nobody ever is. But you decided to try. It's a heavy thing, trying to do right where others have failed. Still, you stepped forward, carrying the soul and every choice that brought you here. You ruled not as Arthur reborn, but as yourself, flawed, resolute, untested. Avalon changed beneath your hand, and history will decide what that truly meant.
That's right. I rule with iron fist, baby.
The South unraveled.
Yeah, that's it. I just got the achievement for finish the main storyline.
For themselves. The keep still stands, but not as a beacon, only as a reminder of the help that never came. The men here stayed in Kuenak, but Yvain failed to rally the minds and hearts needed for his Grail quest. With no clear leaders and rising tension, both Kuenak and Camelot grew fragile, drifting toward division. With no one
there's no Avalon. I'm burning to the ground.
You awakened the giants, and with them at their side, the Dal Rita conquered Camelot. As the capital fell, the customs of the
All right, I'll hold my thoughts for a minute until she's done talking.
Not everyone welcomed them, but the change had already taken root. Nianta left Kuenak with Yvain, and her fate remained unknown. Yet among the people she once served, tales of her devotion and courage endured, and her name was remembered with respect. Maggott chose to remain in Kuenak, and the people stayed with him. Over time, they grew to trust him. And
See, this is just weird. Like, I just don't care about these people.
Planting the first seeds of a new druidic tradition.
You know, like, like, this is something that happens at the end of, like, movies or games where you've spent time interacting with these people, but I had, like, 2 quests with them, and half the time it was just, go find me something.
At the end of his life, and spoke of him with lasting respect.
I mean, him I didn't even interact with. It was Bayor, right? I had to go find the girl that Bayor wanted and then give him a heart.
Her brood now spreads unchecked, and the South must bear the weight of your promise.
Okay. Let's this motion, for anyone wondering, when I do that, when I take my glasses off and rub my eyes, you know, some shit. I'm gonna say some shit. I think this game peaked at 40 to 50% of the way through. And then it was a pretty steep downhill. It was something that I was a little bit worried about. I think I mentioned it at the beginning. Actually, I don't need to listen to that music. It's good music. It's just kind of loud for me. Act 1, I think, was great. So I went through this kind of like this weird roller coaster, right? Because when I got the code to try out the game before it came out, I played for 4 hours, and my initial take on the game was a little bit flawed from not flawed, but flawed in the sense that it was quite a bit off from where I eventually landed after I started streaming the game and actually like playing it through, right? And not kind of rushing it to see as much of the game as I could in 4 hours. Because when I then started playing the game for real, I was addicted to it. You know, I mean, like, we had that weekend where I ended up playing like all of Friday, all of Saturday. I did like 3 streams a day, right? I played for like 4 hours, took a break, played for another 4, took a break, then played like, you know, 2, 3, 4 hours at night. Like, I was into this game in Act 1. Exploring was super fun. The quests were they were fine. A lot of them were still kind of fetch quests, but, you know, exploring the world, it felt like there was like always something to find. All of the quests kind of worked together. I knew what I was doing, right? Like the whole quest line in Act 1 was really about what was his name? The quartermaster. It was Fergus, right? It was all about like helping the people in the keep, so that way Fergus knew that we were serious and that we kind of wanted to like actually help, and so then he would tell us where Brandon was. So that was a pretty easy goal to figure out, like, why are we doing all this stuff? And like we were like I said, we were discovering new stuff. There was like something around every corner. And then we got to Act 2, and it definitely slowed down a bit. I think most of that came because it was a new map. They kind of expected us to learn where all like the new amenities were. We had to be introduced to all these new characters. And it slowed down a little bit, but then even playing through Act 2, the Act 2 map was so much less dense with stuff to find. I mean, where's continue even going to bring me here? I'm curious. It's probably just going to bring me back to the Wickerman. Okay, so my game is just literally done. Cool. Okay, let's yeah, let's load the save up. So, like, if we look at this map, right? So we look at the first map. I mean, I remember just in the first like 4 hours, I think we only explored like this small portion of the map. And we didn't even do a lot of stuff down here because the main quest literally shut us off from doing this. But I mean, there's just like stuff everywhere. Even the stuff like this right here, right? That there's no like symbols on. It took me a little bit to kind of clear it out and explore it. You know, kind of same thing up here. There was a bunch of places to go. There are bounties up here. This whole area, like this B area, there was nothing really up there. But for the most part, like there was stuff going on all around this map. Then we get here. And there's nothing really in the swamp except for enemies. There's a lot of things around the swamp, but this is a big chunk of where there's nothing. There was 1 or 2 quests over here, but there's no real like caves or anything to explore. And then there's this just this giant open field where there is nothing. Like there's just nothing here. Like I looked around for caves and like items. It's just, this is all just weird spawns. And this is just a big field. And then we didn't even really get to explore this because the main quest is literally just, you know, it's one quest. It's literally you do one quest. Now, I want to make the caveat that I chose to do it in one quest, right? I could have gone to all the tribes, done the whole moot thing, which would have had me exploring Act 3, but again, the game kind of offered me, kind of like with Expedition 33, where they were like, you can just go do this, or you can do all the side stuff. But again, the problem that I was having, and the reason why I think it's different than Expedition 33, is that Expedition 33 was a mostly flawless experience. This, I was getting frustrated with the quest system, how I couldn't delete things out of my quest log, so it was hard to keep track of stuff. Plus the fact that the quest icons were not showing up in correct locations. Sometimes they just wouldn't show up, like the Stone Warden quest that I had to actually look up because I would have been looking for it forever. Yeah, so I felt like it really went downhill in Act 2. The beginning of Act 2 was fine, because I was still kind of exploring, but Act 2 was also a problem just because of, like, how obnoxious it was to get around the map. So if you had to give really succinct pros and cons for this, strong start, good early loop, odd pacing. I don't know if pacing is necessarily the problem with it, though. Because, like, the reason... I think some of the reasons... So, for the most part, yes. Strong start, good early loop. Act 1 was great until you got to the very last quest of Act 1. And, again, I think if you make a different decision than I did, you're probably... Like, I would probably have a much different experience. I think the problem is... some of my issues stemmed from that one decision, right? If I hadn't made that decision, or if the game had warned me about like what that decision would do, then I might have made a different decision and been able to finish those quests and get them out of my quest log, and I would have a lot less issues with the quest system. But because I didn't have an option to switch it, I was kind of stuck with the way that the quests were logged. But then the other thing is Act 2 was just, it was harder to navigate. You know, there were a lot of cliffs, a lot of rocks that were like just too tall to jump over, which made navigating kind of a pain. And, you know, the fact that all of your crafting stuff was like on a different level from your stash was a little bit annoying. It's like, why do I have to go jump down this hole or jump off this ledge to go smith rather than just putting the smith as close as possible to the stash? Like, that was a little bit weird. And then I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even experience Act 3. Like the pacing on that was just very odd. And the fight, I can't really say much about the fight because it's kind of the same thing with Expedition 33 where I just overpowered it. I mean, it happened, but I don't know. The story kind of fell off. At the beginning, I was a little bit intrigued by what was going on, but I guess kind of like you said with the odd pacing, in Act 2, I wasn't getting a lot of Arthur's story, and so I kind of lost track of where we were, like why we're tracking all this stuff down. And by the time we got to the end, all of a sudden it's like, hey, do you want to be Arthur? It's like, I mean, I guess so. And then Arthur's like, man, you're not gonna be me. And then I fought him and I stabbed him, and like that was the end. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, sure, I guess that's how we're gonna end it. Like, it seemed very again, it seemed abrupt because the pacing was just, it took like, again, I'm 62 hours in, right? And so take 4 hours off of that. Okay, so we got 58 hours, and I've been playing this for 2, so go to 54. Right? So you could say it was probably like, what is that, 25, 29? So 29 hours for Act 1, roughly. 29 hours for Act 2, and then 2 for Act 3. Like, and you know what's funny is, so I was reading this post on Reddit the other day, and someone was asking if they should continue on with Act 3 or restart the game. And I thought that was kind of odd, so I clicked into it to see, you know, to read more about the post, like why are they asking this? And they were saying that they were reading all over the place that Act 3 is just buggy as hell. There are quests that just won't finish, there are quests that won't start, there are NPCs missing. And it's literally so short, or you could make it so short that you literally just don't have to interact with any of that, which is kind of what happened. Except for that one NPC in the cave that just said talk to him, and then I couldn't talk to him. So yeah, ultimately, like, in a nutshell, Act 1 was great. Like, I would probably, if I don't really like putting numbers on things, but if I had to put a number on it, like, I'm probably putting it in like the 7.5 range. Act 2, I'm probably putting at like a 5 or 6. And then Act 3, I can't even give anything. Like, it was just a nothing burger. Yeah, I'm using it more, not necessarily to say in terms of like Tainted Grail is a 7.5 and Oblivion is a 7, so you can compare those two. It's more so like how you would compare the acts against each other is more kind of my what I'm thinking there. Does circle back to my earlier point about testing in a later stage. Oh, that was the other thing that I started on and then left. I'd mentioned it early on that I was a bit concerned about kind of leading us into like a Baldur's Gate situation. Now, this is much worse than Baldur's Gate in terms of the magnitude of what happened, but Baldur's Gate fell into the problems that when they did their early access tests, they were testing Act 1 and Act 2, and I don't know if they ever pushed out a test for Act 3. And in my opinion, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is my favorite game of all time. I've mentioned it a bunch. But Act 3 is kind of where I start. And to be fair, it's also at the end of the run. But I was going to say that it's where I start losing interest in my current run, or in my current runs when I was doing them. Act 3 didn't hit until full release. Okay. So, again, granted, if my runs are going 80 hours, sure. You know, after 60 hours, it's like, okay, I want to start a new thing. I want to try out new classes. And that's about the time that it was happening in Act 3. But I never, even to this day, fully explored Act 3 the same way that I did Act 1 and Act 2. Act 1, I'm pretty sure I mean, it's hard to say with Baldur's Gate 3 because there's so much stuff, but I could confidently say that I've done about 90% of what Act 1 had to offer. Again, I feel like I've done everything, but you don't know what you don't know. So there very well could be something in Act 1 that I've never done, but I don't know it exists. Act 2 is kind of the same thing. I feel like I fully explored pretty much everything in Act 2. Act 3, I know there are things that I didn't do. For example, the one thing that for some reason I never got around to was fighting Carador. I literally never explored Carador's mansion or did that whole Astarion quest line. Don't know why. It was just one of those things that I think potentially because of the gear that you got for it, I just never explored and did that. But in general, I, had more issues in Act 3 than I did in Act 1 and Act 2. And that's likely the reason why, because they just tested Act 1 and Act 2 more. They were just more polished. They had more testing time. But I had, like, as soon as we got to Act 2, the problems started setting in. And that's where it started to get more frustrating. So, still a decent game. Don't get me wrong, like Act 2 is still fun, but it was weighing down on me that all these kind of systems were not working as intended, and they were intentionally taking up extra time. I think that's the thing that was getting to me. Like, there was still stuff to have fun with in Act 2. But because it was difficult to keep track of the quests, and the fact that, like, quests were not completing correctly, I would complete a quest and it would just still stay in my quest list, so it was even further, like, dirtying up the quest list. It was just tough to keep track of what exactly was going on. Yeah. So, strong start, weak finish. But, you get a 60-hour playthrough for $40 or whatever. Not bad. And again, that's not even doing Act 3. That's not even doing Act 3. But, yeah, so I guess I'm going to call it early here. At this point, I'm probably going to go do a wrap-up video here at the end. So tomorrow is my day off. And then I got to figure out what we're doing Thursday. I don't know yet. Like I said, I'm leaning towards doing kind of a shorter playthrough game. Honestly, it's probably going to be 2016 Doom. Just because that one's it's for some reason been on my mind that, like, I just want to play it. And it's about a 12-hour game, so we can get through it. Even with the weekend coming up, probably honestly finish it by the weekend. Just a game that I never played and wanted kind of experience. And like I said, I kind of want to play the Doom franchise. Like I said, there's a lot of franchises that I want to play and get to, so I'm going to be kind of jumping around a little bit. And yeah, just leading up until Stellar Blade, which would be sweet. I'm excited to try that one out. That one would be sweet. I didn't even try like the demo or early access or anything. I've literally never played a second of Stellar Blade, but I've seen a lot of it. But that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank you everyone so much for joining me. Jake, have a good evening, brother. And yeah, see you on Thursday. Peace.